like to call the October 18th County Council meeting to order. We will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Councilwoman Fikes.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to remind everybody to turn their cell phones off, please. Roll call, Clerk Treasurer, Clark Finley.
Councilwoman Kaminsky.
Present.
Councilwoman West. Councilwoman Cutler. Councilman Frankie.
Present.
Councilman Francis.
Present.
Councilman Vincent.
Present.
Councilman Galloway.
Here.
6 present, 1 absent.
Approval of minutes, do I have a motion?
Motion to approve the minutes is presented.
Second. I have a motion and a second discussion. Hearing none, all in favor, state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Petitions and comments of citizens. I do not have any sheets. Anybody raise their hand? Standing committee reports. Councilman Frankie.
School board's meeting tonight, good luck to them. Target City Redevelopment Commission meets next Wednesday at 5:15 at City Hall, and the Diversity and Inclusion Committee meets next Thursday at 5 p.m.
Councilwoman Fikes.
Park Board meeting is Wednesday, October 20th, 4 p.m. at the Park Office.
Councilman Vincent.
Nothing to report this evening.
Councilman Galloway.
Veterans Day program, there's coffee and donuts in the morning usually. It's usually like 9 o'clock. But I believe the program is going to be like 10:30, right? It's going to be later this year. And then I've lunch around 11:30, I believe, there. And that'll be the 34th annual. And the next meeting is not till March 14th. Now, that Police Merit Commission Tuesday the 12th, it lasted about 5 minutes, there was no news. And that's all I got.
And our goal is for the community to pack the house at the Civic for Veterans Day, 10:30 this coming November. Councilwoman West.
Just a reminder that the next Fire Merit Commission meeting will be November 3rd at 6:30.
Councilwoman Kaminsky.
The HPC will meet tomorrow, October 19th, in council chambers at 5:30. The airport authority will meet this Wednesday, October 20th at 5:15 via Zoom. And the tree commission's next meeting is this Thursday, October 21st, in council chambers at 5 p.m.
Councilwoman Fikes, second and final reading of an ordinance.
Your Honor, I move to read an ordinance for the second and final time by title only.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor, state by saying aye.
Aye.
Councilwoman Fikes.
An ordinance and resolution for appropriations and tax rates.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor, state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Councilman Vincent.
Honorable Mayor, I'd like to make a motion for a second and final reading of an ordinance by title only.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor, state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Councilman Vincent.
An appropriation of ARP Coronavirus Local Fiscal Recovery Fund, Fund number 176.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion. And the treasurer Cartoon is, this is all we're going to talk about, correct?
Correct.
Mr. Shriver, if you don't mind coming forward, just a very brief explanation.
Sure. Good evening. As we mentioned at the last meeting, obviously these are to make some much needed improvements to the Civic Auditorium. We'd be looking at upgrading LED lighting, getting a new roof put on, also an asbestos report and some contingency money for that. The roof is something that's long overdue. The lighting is something to modernize, very antiquated. And obviously, anytime we get into these projects, we would be looking at asbestos. So, of course, we want to look, this is only the first stage. There's a second stage of improvements that we'll be looking at doing in the future, hopefully in the near future, next year. But we need these additional appropriations, obviously, to get this work done within this year, or at least get this under contract for this year.
Questions for Mr. Schreiber? Thank you.
Sure.
Discussion?
I think it's
Hearing
long
none?
overdue.
Oh,
Sorry, I think it's long overdue.
If we want the Civic
I'm
to
happy,
last
yep.
another 100 years, it's the people's house.
Yep, I agree.
We're excited. Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Councilman Frankie,
Your Honor, I move to read an ordinance by title only for the second and final time.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Councilman Frankie.
An ordinance fixing salaries of appointed officers and employees of the city of LaPorte, Indiana for the year 2022.
Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. I'm going to ask as part of the discussion, and one thing I'd like to talk about, the first thing we've said with Clerk Treasurer Parthun and the council, with the funds that we did have, was a commitment and an investment in our people, that we're going to do what we need to do. We have spent $750,000 on many of the departments across the city to say, hey, if we want to grow like the city of LaPorte wants to grow and compete with the best, we need to pay our people the best. We know individuals have options, whether it's the street department, park department, and we need to be competitive. Along with that, we've said since day one of at least my administration, the council's administration, we are a public safety community. We believe in our police, believe in our fire, and we have high expectations. But with that, we have to pay a very competitive wage. So I will say that the council has supported and led the charge on the highest increase in the history of the city of LaPorte for our public safety team, police and fire. And I'm just going to go through if our clerk treasurer Parthun would like to read the updated public safety salaries.
Sure. We've got for the public safety, for the police department, chief, 75,000, assistant chief, 70,000, captain, 66,000, sergeant, 63,000, corporal, 60,000, specialist, 58,000, patrolman, 55,000, probationary officer, 50,000. Also amended was the certified salary pursuant to Indiana Code 36-8-1-11. The certified salary for 2022 will be calculated at the rate of $55,000 with 14% longevity of $7,700 for a total of $62,700. Fire Department, Chief, $75,000, Assistant Chief, $70,000, Battalion Chief, $66,000, Inspector, $66,000, Training Officer, $66,000, Mechanic, $66,000, Captain, $63,000, Firefighter Specialist, $58,000, Firefighter, $55,000, Probationary Firefighter, $50,000. Again, certified salary amended pursuant to Indiana Code 36-8-1-11. The certified salary for 2022 will be calculated at the rate of $55,000 with 14% longevity of $7,700 for a total of $62,700. And there's one other amendment under utilities.
Yes.
That would be water treatment plant operator, level 3.2 is $26 an hour. Those are the amendments to the salary ordinance.
We do have representation from the police and the fire. I'd like to begin with Matt Dragmeister from the police department to put him hopefully on the spot. Matt has worked extremely hard. I'm going to ask him to come forward and speak. But he has worked his butt off over the last week to really hold on to this department and provide a competitive wage. Matt, briefly, thoughts?
I want to thank everybody for considering this, and it is going to help us immensely with the competitiveness of trying to find police officers now. It's getting more difficult and difficult. People that want to become officers are getting thinner and thinner, And it's harder to compete with surrounding agencies, but this will help us compete, and we'll be able to retain officers, and we'll be able to recruit them better too, and I appreciate it.
How many have we lost in the last, police to other departments in the last 2 years?
In the last 2 years,
Or a few years, if for that matter?
I think we're at 5. Yes.
Is it generally a salary issue, I mean, higher
Yeah.
pay?
Yes. Well, actually, no, that's 6, sorry.
And obviously, we know this going over the last week, officers could go tomorrow into a competitive community and make $20,000 more literally the next day.
Yes, correct.
This will give us a chance to compete and keep our people where they belong.
And on behalf of the FOP, appreciate it. Thank you.
Mike Mulcrone, Fire Department.
We'd just like to thank the council and the mayor and everybody else who's worked on this. It's unbelievable that the respect that we've been shown through this raise. It's spectacular, and it'll help, of course, to retain and to promote people into the right positions. Because if we're going to build this city, we're going to build it together. And so it's a great city, and can't wait to see where it goes. And this is a huge, huge plus as far as the department's concerned. So. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Mike. The clause about performance in wiffle ball games against Michigan City did not make it, but we do expect a better performance next year, bringing home the title. Questions from the council?
No.
Statements?
Well-deserved on both sides. Thank you, guys.
Absolutely. I just wanted to say that I call it a privilege to be able to ride with one of the officers a couple of times. And from the time I was young, I've always had respect for what all of you do. But then to go out and ride with you and see what you actually do every single day, it just added to that amount of respect. And you guys deserve every bit of it. So thank you. And be careful out there.
So these raises will take place for calendar year 22, calendar year 23. Obviously, we'll look for the future, but we believe we have some revenue opportunities in front of us, and that will help continue moving forward, because not only is the city of LaPorte in a difficult situation, LaPorte County's in a difficult situation with EMS, police. Michigan City's in the same situation. So I believe there's some opportunities that the county can lead us in, and we all together can look at financial opportunities to improve the dollars coming into each of our organizations over the next year. So we're excited about that. And I would like to point out, we have a council member, former Sheriff Mike Mullenhour here. Mike, if you want to give us a raise. And obviously, he's been supportive of public safety as well. So further questions? Hearing none, all those in favor?
No, you need a motion to
You have
amend.
a motion to amend?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion to amend and a second. Discussion.
And I would just comment, procedurally, both the city's code and state statute allow an amendment on a second reading.
Okay. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Hearing none?
Does have to be in by November 1st, too. Is that part of it?
Yes.
November 1st, this has to be done.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So hearing none, all those in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Guys, gals, are you happy? I would also like to point out Wally Brath, former police chief and current police merit board member, is here. Thank you for being here and your support as well.
Thank you.
All right. And also, the best news of the day, fire and police, you don't have to stay any longer for the rest of the meeting. So you're welcome to go, but thank you. And one last, Eric Walsh is here from Baker Tilly, who helped us work through all the numbers all night and day. Thank you for Eric.
Thanks, Eric.
And lastly, as you know, Courtney Parthun wouldn't have happened if she wasn't capable of doing all this work.
Well, there goes the crowd.
Yeah, there we go.
Let's get some work done.
I thought everyone was excited about the bond
Leave before you vote on
refunding.
his salary.
True.
Councilwoman West.
Your Honor, I move to read an ordinance for the second and final time by title only.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Councilwoman West.
An ordinance establishing salaries of elected officials of the city of LaPorte from the general fund.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Councilwoman Konechny, introduction of an ordinance concerning the refunding by the city of LaPorte, and I believe you only, according to Attorney Otis, will only have to read
The first page and a half, the whereases, yep.
whereases. Do I have a motion?
So, Your Honor, I move to introduce an ordinance read in part as authorized by the city attorney.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion? All those in favor, state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Councilwoman Konechny.
An ordinance concerning the refunding by the city of LaPorte, Indiana, of certain of its outstanding waterworks revenue bonds, authorizing the issuance of waterworks refunding revenue bonds for such purpose, providing for the collection, segregation, and distribution of the revenues of the waterworks and the safeguarding of the interests of the owners of said waterworks refunding revenue bonds, other matters connected therewith, and repealing ordinances inconsistent herewith. Whereas the city of LaPorte, Indiana, the city, has heretofore established, constructed, and financed its waterworks and now owns and operates said waterworks pursuant to Indiana Code 8-1.5. As in effect on the issue date of the bonds authorized herein and other applicable laws, the Act, all references herein to the Indiana Code are designated herein as IC, followed by the applicable code section or sections. And whereas the Common Council of the city, the council, finds that there are outstanding bonds of the waterworks payable out of the net revenues as hereinafter defined, therefore designated as the waterworks revenue bonds of 2011, the 2011 bonds, now outstanding in the aggregate principal of the amount of $2,260,000 and maturing semi-annually on January 1st and July 1st over a period ending July 1st, 2032, which 2011 bonds constitute a first charge on the net revenues of the waterworks on a parity with outstanding parity bonds and hereinafter defined. And whereas the city council, or the council finds that the 2011 bonds, the refunded bonds, should be refunded pursuant to the provisions of Indiana Code 5-1-5 as amended to enable the city to obtain a reduction in the interest payments and effective savings to the city. And whereas the council finds that that it is necessary to issue its waterworks refunding revenue bonds in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $2,651,000, and to use the proceeds thereof together with funds on hand to refund the refunded bonds and to pay for all the costs related to said refunding. And whereas, in addition to the refunded bonds, the council finds that there are now outstanding bonds payable out of the net revenues of the city waterworks designated as Waterworks Revenue Bond Series 2020, the 2020 bonds, now outstanding in the aggregate principal amount of $7,845,000 and maturing semi-annually on January 1st and July 1st over a period ending on January 1st, 2042, the outstanding parity bonds, which constitute a first charge on the net revenues of the waterworks on a parity with the refunded bonds. And whereas the ordinance authorizing the outstanding parity bonds authorize the issuance of additional bonds ranking on the parity of the outstanding parity bonds, provided certain financial conditions can be met, collectively the parity tests. And whereas the council finds the parity tests can be met with respect to the bonds be pursuant to this ordinance, and accordingly the bonds to be issued pursuant to the ordinance will constitute a first charge against the net revenues of the waterworks and on a parity with the outstanding parity bonds, and are to be issued subject to the provisions of the law of Act Indiana Code 5-1-5 as amended and the terms and restrictions of this ordinance. And whereas the council now finds that all conditions precedent to the adoption of the ordinance authorizing the issuance of said waterworks refunding revenue bonds have been compiled with the ordinance with the provisions of the Act now, therefore.
discussion, and while we have that discussion, if Eric Walsh from Baker Tilly could come up and explain exactly what this entails.
Sure. Thank you, Mayor. Eric Walsh, partner with Baker Tilly. Some of the high-level details of this, I'll cut right to the chase, which is first, how much savings will be achieved by refinancing these bonds. It's approximately $125,000 over the next 11 years. That's achieved just very similarly if you refinance a mortgage, you're just going from a higher interest rate to a lower interest rate. Your current interest rate on these bonds for 2011 is about 3.6%. We're targeting right now just under 1.7% is what we think we'll get on the refinancing. That lowers your annual principal and interest payments about $10,000 to $13,000 a year for the next 11 years. On an annual basis, not a huge amount, but it is another $10,000 to $15,000 a year that you can use for other needs of your water utility.
Questions?
These just became available to refinance, correct?
Yes, and actually, these even have a premium on them. So when you issue bonds in the market, the purchasers of those bonds want to know they're going to get interest payments at the rate they give you for a certain number of years. So these actually just became refundable in the last couple of months with a 2% premium. The reason we suggested that you still go forward with it is because your premium doesn't roll off until July of 2023. So obviously, interest rates are at a historical low. The reason we're also suggesting to suspend the rules and adopt tonight is, as you've probably seen in the news, interest rates have started to tick up the last several weeks. So we're trying to get this deal done and lock in the savings as quickly as possible.
And that the savings is net of the costs of.
Net of any costs associated with legal, financial advisory, and bond issuance costs.
And I'd also like to say thank you to our clerk treasurer, Courtney Parthune, for leading the charge on this. And those are real savings, and it makes a difference. So thank you. Questions for Eric? Thank you, Eric.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Eric.
Courtney Parthune.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask that the council suspend the rules tonight for this ordinance concerning the waterworks revenue bonds. Since 2020, the city of LaPorte has saved, with your help, council, and with this new bond, upwards of $450,000 for the city of LaPorte. So looking to, yes, suspend the rules, looking at a six-figure savings upon refunding these bonds, and we're doing the right thing, so.
Do I have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules.
And read for a second time.
Okay. And then read this ordinance for the second time by title only.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion?
This should help pay for some of those raises we just gave out.
Hearing none, all those in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So now we will go to a motion for a second reading.
Correct, by title only.
Your Honor, I'd like to make a motion to reintroduce the same ordinance for the second time, read by title only.
Second.
So I have
Second.
a motion and a second. Discussion? All those in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Council, who's going to read that? Councilwoman West?
Oh, no.
Go
Sure.
for it.
An ordinance concerning the refunding by the city of LaPorte, Indiana, of certain of its outstanding waterworks revenue bonds, authorizing the issuance of waterworks refunding revenue bonds for such purpose, providing for the collection, segregation, and distribution of the revenues of the waterworks and the safeguarding of the interest of the owners of said waterworks refunding revenue bonds, other matters connected therewith, and repealing ordinances inconsistent herewith. End of ordinance.
Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes, and the residents, we save $125,000. Courtney
Amazing.
Parthune, good work.
Yep.
And I just asked
You
for
go,
the
Courtney.
minutes of the meeting to reflect that the vote to suspend the rules was unanimously approved and that more than two-thirds voted in favor of it on the second reading.
Yes, sir.
Councilman Vincent.
Honorable Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to introduce an ordinance.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Councilman Vincent.
City of LaPorte Sewer Use Ordinance. Now therefore be it
and it is hereby ordained by the Common Council of the City of LaPorte, Indiana, that Section 1, Article 4, Sewer System, Sections 98-141 through 98-275 of the Municipal Code of the City of LaPorte is hereby replaced with the attached 57-page document entitled Code of Ordinances, Section 98, Utility Sewer Use. Section 2, any ordinances in conflict shall be repealed. Section 3, this ordinance shall be in full force and effect upon its passage, approval by the mayor, and publication as required by law. End of ordinance.
Discussion, I have Jerry Jackson here from Wastewater. If you'd like to not go through all 57 pages, but give a brief synopsis.
I appreciate you not reading all 57 pages. These are typos essentially that the state of Indiana has asked us to fix. They periodically come and audit our programs, and they were in and audited our industrial pretreatment program. And they go through, boy, it's a paper chase. They go through all the permits, they go through all the ordinances. This ordinance dates back to the early 80s, and at that time they were using the term ammonia. Since then, now the term ammonia nitrogen is being used to refer to the same compound, and all the regs are based on that term ammonia nitrogen. So they asked that we correct our ordinance to reflect the term. So that's four of the changes in the ordinance. It's just correcting that term. The last one, somehow, when it got put online, the parameter mercury got replaced, or the parameter nickel got replaced with mercury. We found the version that the council passed, and it was correct, but the online version is wrong, and we thought, well, let's, in public, make sure that has the proper result. So I'd ask that the board pass these, and as I said, these are corrections really of just terms and errors. And if the council sees fit to pass at this meeting and be done with it, so I can report back to IDEM. They wanted it by the end of the month. I said that was kind of unreasonable, but if the council sees fit to pass it on a second reading, that'd be great.
Do you feel comfortable that with no changes would be remaining if we do pass it tonight?
This will be a living document. We'll always change, but we won't change it real soon.
Okay.
Yeah. The next change I think we'll see is the addition of a phosphorus limit. We're going to start removing phosphorus at the treatment plant probably the end of next year, and that needs to be regulated in our dischargers so that it can't cost the city a bunch of money by putting phosphorus down the drain that then we pay to remove. So that'll come up probably the end of next year.
What's the reason, the environmental reason for that?
Phosphorus is a nutrient, and it causes algae blooms.
Okay. Is that what we're seeing like in the Mississippi River?
That's the example I was going to use. The dead zone at the mouth of the Mississippi River is the result, not solely, but partially due to phosphorus. It also comes, maybe the larger percentage of it comes from agricultural activities.
Right.
But we're a part.
But when we do sewer separation projects, that's one that would help, when you separate sewers, that helps that, correct?
That's a dual-edged sword.
Yeah.
That when the water that goes in a combined sewer goes to the treatment plant, and then we'll remove phosphorus because that's what we're doing in the treatment plant. When you separate sewers, then that storm water goes through a basin, through some treatment, and is discharged. So it's important when you have separate sewer systems to educate the public, don't put phosphorus fertilizer on your lawns. So it's a dual-edged sword. You can cause some pollution problems by separating sewers.
Questions from council? Hearing none, do I have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules and have the ordinance read for the second time by title only.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Councilman Vincent.
City of LaPorte Sewer Use Ordinance.
Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none, all those are in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously, 6-0. Thank you, Jerry. Councilman Frankie.
Your Honor, I move to read a resolution for its first time in its entirety.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Councilman Frankie.
A resolution transferring certain real property to the City of LaPorte Redevelopment Commission. Whereas the City of LaPorte owns certain real property generally located on East Boyd Boulevard, LaPorte, Indiana, that is 71.856 acres and identified by property identification number 46-07-31-100-030.00-053. And whereas the city desires to transfer the portion of the property depicted on Exhibit A attached hereto and incorporated herein to the City of LaPorte Redevelopment Commission to facilitate development of the property. And now, therefore, be it resolved by the Common Council of the City of LaPorte, meeting in a duly noticed and regularly scheduled meeting as follows. Section 1, the city hereby transfers the property to the RDC pursuant to the quitclaim deed attached hereto and incorporated herein as Exhibit B, the quitclaim deed. Section 2, the quitclaim deed shall be recorded upon approval of this resolution by the Common Council of the City of LaPorte and the City of LaPorte Redevelopment Commission. Section 3, the net proceeds of any sale of the property by the Redevelopment Commission shall be transferred to the City of LaPorte Sewage Water Works Department. Section 4, this resolution shall be in full force and effect upon passage. End of resolution.
Discussion? Mr. Cook, if you could explain the property?
Good evening to the council. Bert Cook, Executive Director of the LaPorte Economic Advancement Partnership. I was trying to remember exactly how long ago it was that we ultimately purchased this land from Howmet Aerospace, but I know it was this group that I stood in front of, and you all charged me with finding a good price and turning it into something valuable for our community. This is the next step in that process, so the Redevelopment Commission is set up to help facilitate transfers like this. We have numerous developers who are actively interested or offering on the property, and the plan would be to, through our Redevelopment Commission, to put a request for proposals out there and accept offers from developers who specifically are looking to develop the 25 acres as industrial space in the City of LaPorte. So hope you can move forward with this tonight, and we'll work with the Redevelopment Commission to make sure we get the highest and best use and the best offers that we can possibly get for the property.
And also, we're excited that the proceeds will go to the wastewater department and Jerry Jackson.
I know you are very excited about that part, Mayor.
That's why Jerry's still here.
Hey, Bert, you mentioned 25 acres, the ordinance says 71.
Yeah, so the property is obviously 71 acres in total. A big portion of that is used for, am I correct, stormwater issues. There's 25 acres that would be sold for industrial development. It's the property that is closest to Walmart, right, the highest property. It's pretty obviously the best for this type of development. I'm not certain yet, but I would say 90% certain the Redevelopment Commission is going to choose to split the property into two 12.5-acre parcels and try and sell that way.
What kind of, what type of businesses are looking at this?
Yeah, industrial. So we have this desperate need for industrial space. You all, I know, have followed the spec building that was built and has since been fully leased. They're planning to double the size of that building. So, we're looking to replicate that, whether that be with the space that has a tenant, in hand as construction starts, or the spec route and looking for tenants as we go through the construction process. Either one works for us and will be of great value for the City of LaPorte.
And the commitment after we built the building in Thomas Rose, if you build it, they will come. I think the community, and I understand why, has no concept of how many businesses are coming in and out of our community, looking at property, wanting to come to LaPorte. And thank you to you and your team, but as well, it's amazing.
Thank you, Mayor. Absolutely. It's a great feeling to have those interested in investing or locating in our community.
What size can be built, building can be built on that?
So could be a pretty wide variety, but with two 12.5-acre parcels, we could easily be talking about, 100 to 200,000 square feet on each individual parcel. So I think we're probably, setting the parameters at maybe 300,000 square feet total on the 25 acres. That would make sense.
Will you tell us what companies are interested?
I would love to. Unfortunately, I can't do that today, but I would.
I heard Doolin Media.
I would say this: we have had multiple developers interested that have tenants in hand, and others that are just looking to go the spec route. So there's plenty of interest at this point.
Further discussion, questions? Thank you, Mr. Cook.
You're welcome.
Council questions? Hearing none, all those in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Just procedurally, by the,
Didn't you?
I just read it for the first time.
we need a motion to adopt that.
Well, do we have
I move to adopt the
Second.
resolution.
Yeah.
a motion and a second?
Yep.
So did you guys do the last one? Is that what it was?
All those in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Procedurally, the redevelopment commission has to approve this same exact agreement, and they'll do that at the meeting later this month.
Councilman Galloway.
Your Honor, I'd like to introduce a resolution.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion. All those in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Councilman Galloway.
Resolution to transfer funds within the 2021 budgets. Whereas there are additional monies needed in certain line items in the 2021 budgets in order to pay for essential services and obligations. Now therefore be it, and it is hereby resolved by the Common Council of the City of LaPorte, Indiana, that the following transfers be made within the budgets, within the following budgets for the year 2021. General, Police, from 221 operating supplies to 241 other supplies, $12,000. From 361 repair maintenance to 241 other supplies, $8,000. From 321 communication and transportation to 391 other services, $10,000. Local road and streets, from 231.015 other maintenance repair to 290 other supplies, $5,733.86. From 361 other services to 290 other supplies, $5,733.86. In the resolution.
Discussion?
Are these just like the normal end-of-the-year transfers?
Here,
that-
yep, you'll be seeing a lot more of these as well.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Further questions? Hearing none, all in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Couple items, Mr. Cook, if you could come to the mic really quick. So we talk about how we've invested into our team and we have high expectations. Not only will we have a Veterans Day ceremony on Veterans Day, but as well, Bert Cook will be receiving the, I believe, NFIB or the
Small Business
Small
Advocate of the
Business
Year.
Advocate of the Year for the entire region of Northwest Indiana. And many applicants, people have put their names in. Bert Cook was nominated, actually somebody from other than City Hall, and Bert has been nominated and chosen as the Small Business Advocate, once again representing the City of LaPorte, so I wanted to say congratulations.
Yeah.
Way to go, Bert. Your speech.
I won't practice my speech, but I will say I appreciate the honor. It is very much a team effort. We have a great group of people that work for LEAP, but work for the city as a whole. Enjoy the opportunity to work with all of you, and we look at this as an award for the city of LaPorte and for all of those that help grow our community here, so,
Congratulations.
thank you.
Also, Halloween will be from 6 to 8 p.m. on Halloween, so that's clarified. Also, this is fall cleanup, so anybody on their normal trash day this week can add anything that they would like. I believe things have to be wrapped appropriately due to COVID, but that is available as well. This is also the water department's fall flushing, so if you do receive some granules in your water, do not be concerned. Let your water run for 10 minutes, and if you have questions, please call the water department for the city of LaPorte. Any other comments?
Comment, I went to Taco Fest, saw a lot of you there, and I thought it was a
Good
great
night.
event, and I know Jess Bruder organized that. It's pretty stressful for her, getting those things organized, but she did a great job. It was a great event, and I heard that you couldn't be a judge because you don't like spicy food. Is there any truth to that rumor?
There's a lot of truth to that, but it was a great turnout, 500 or so, and, you know, Jess Bruder being our communication director, as Mr. Otis said, really stepped up, and I'm excited once we have a full-time event planner, it'll be 1,000 people will be the expectation. So I'm excited about that as well, so.
No pressure.
Yeah.
Further questions? Mr. Galloway, and by the way, we all wish Councilman Galloway health and a quick recovery. You will not be with us at our next meeting, correct?
Right.
Anybody that sees Mr. Galloway gimping around will know why.
Help me out, yeah.
But we can, if he needs to, we'll carry him in, but we wish you the best.
Man.
Do I have a motion?
Motion to adjourn?
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Council, I have lots of signatures.